There has been a shooting at a school in Newtown. This is the Sandy Hook Elementary School.
It's believed there was one shooter, a male, who is now dead. And the reports we're getting from law enforcement is that of the 26 dead, most are children.
In the wake of the tragic Connecticut school shooting, there's no doubt the debate over gun control will heat up in the coming days and months.
Now, this is something we should all be concerned about.
Guns in the wrong hands.
Background check.
The tradition of gun ownership.
Sandy Hook Elementary.
Newtown, Connecticut.
Military-style assault weapons.
There should be no limitation on firearms.
Ban on firearms.
Second Amendment.
Currently, there are 3 major points of debate on the proposed changes. First, whether laws can be passed that limit the Second Amendment.
Sickness in our country called gun violence. Hiding behind the Second Amendment doesn't cut it anymore. Hiding behind the Second Amendment can no longer be the shield for access. The people who wrote that document owned slaves, oppressed women, and were short on tolerance. I say to you tonight that times change, people's attitudes change, and it's time our lawmakers realize that society has changed, and despite the pressures of lobbyists, we need to move forward on gun violence in this country.
I swore an oath to defend the Constitution, and part of that Constitution is the Second Amendment, which guarantees the right to bear arms, and these types of laws infringe upon that right.
The second point of debate is whether or not assault weapons should be banned.
Forget the extremists. It's simple. No one hunts with an assault rifle. No one needs 10 bullets to kill a deer. And too many innocent people have died already.
Because we're not doing anything revolutionary here. It was Justice Scalia, no liberal, as you know, Sean. In the case of D.C. versus Heller, 2008, I'll quote him. He said, the Second Amendment right is not unlimited. It is not a right to carry any weapon whatsoever in any manner whatsoever.
I agree with that.
And for whatever purpose. But already we've had an assault weapons ban in this country for 10 years. The world did not end.
As far as these so-called assault weapons, you say that they don't have any defense use. You tell that to the guy that I saw on a videotape of the N.R.A. riots, standing up on his rooftop, protecting his property and his life from an entire mob with one of these so-called assault weapons. Tell me that he didn't have a legitimate self-defense use.
The third point of debate is whether or not violence can be reduced by arming upstanding citizens.
After the tragedy in Newtown, the gun lobby proclaimed that the solution to, quote, a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, unquote. But the real solution is to prevent the bad guy from getting a gun in the first place is to do a background check. From 1994, when the Brady Law took effect, to 2009, and by the way, that's the last public data we can get, nearly 2 million prohibited purchases were blocked. 2 million.
With all due respect, if you're thinking that the criminals are going to obey the laws, you're not thinking straight.
Watch as deputies say Davis Dawkins and Dwayne Henderson come in and wave a gun, pointing it right at the customers asking for valuables. But just seconds later, someone steps in. Look at the right of your screen. A man running with a gun, firing at the suspects.
The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
As you can see, the two sides don't agree on much. What they do agree on, however, is that something has to be done to protect America's children.
These tragedies must end. And to end them, we must change. We will be told that the causes of such violence are complex, and that is true. No single law, no set of laws can eliminate evil from the world or prevent every senseless act of violence in our society. But that can't be an excuse for inaction.